today I'm going to be talking about Cliff. Can I flip it this way? Cliff Burton over here. I'll just stay in front. Yeah, we'll talk about Cliff Burton and why, to me, that he's the greatest bassist of all time in my eyes. So to me, even though I will admit, and immediately get into Metallica right away. But once I discovered about Cliff Burton, probably maybe about 2018, like the year after I saw them, I went deep into their the catalog, and when I found out about Cliff and also the tragedy, which obviously sucks, if there are people that don't know, he got crushed by a bus in Stockholm, Sweden. But to me, Cliff is the greatest because I just think his style. I mean, yeah, his style is different. It's like, oh, style. But to me, I just like his style, even though it's not arrhythmic, it's mathematics. It's fairly rhythmic. And when he was with Metallica, he was just always so into it. Same with Jason. It's another great bass player, by the way, Jason Newsted, great bass player. I just feel like Cliff just, he loved Metallica. He loved the band, even when he wasn't on tour, or not when they were when they were on the bus. He loved blasting Beethoven and Mozart and other classical music in that sense. But Cliff's style, like, it blew me away when I listened to all of his bass solos that are on the internet. I was just like, yes, give me more. And then when I found out about Anastasia Pulling Teeth, I found out that every single show he played it differently. I mean, obviously the same song, but differently in his own style every time. And my God, he was nuts, just like Eddie Van Halen, great guitar player. Just like Eddie Van Halen sometimes played Eruption differently, slightly different, like the famous one where he smoked a cigarette and put it on the edge of the guitar, where he played the song and then he played it in kind of like reverse style. That's kind of what Cliff did. That's one thing that Cliff and Eddie Van Halen have in common. I'm sure there's probably other bass players I've never heard of before, but I know that just with Cliff, his just stuck out to me, and to me, I guess I'll make this part like a top 3 or whatever, but to me, my top 3 bass players of all time: Cliff, Lemmy, and the bass player for Cannibal Corpse. I know his name not coming to me at the moment, but I know he's has blonde hair. But if I do remember the name at some point, I'll probably throw it. Oh, Alex Webster. There we go. Well, Alex Webster, also fucking phenomenal fucking bassist. Just absolutely fucking beautiful. Those top 3 for me, they're like etched in top 3 for me. Just, it's a top 3. Flea to me, I guess it's also kind of turning into almost like a debate thing, but to me, Flea's cool for funk. I guess if I want to be respectful, then you got Les Claypool, who also is nuts on the bass, but it's also kind of funk. His stuff's also kind of funky, like genuine funk rock. But I guess you could kind of debate between Les Claypool and Flea. Both great bass players. Both great. I mean, obviously Flea, when Metallica got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he said how much Cliff, how much Cliff had filled that hole. And that's summarize what he said at that thing. It says he was saying that with Cliff gone, no one could ever fill in that hole, no matter who it is, which is true. And I think, to me, the closest person ever did that to me was Jason. Even though James Hetfield was a dick, even up till like 2018, he still had little grudges towards Jason, which I think is stupid. But But anyway, it's back to Cliff. A little bit sidetrack. Cliff Burton though, just Anastasia pulling teeth, Orion, and then just recently I found out about the lost bass solo for Faded Black, where it was just a 41 second bass solo at the end of Faded Black, and absolutely beautiful. I mean, the man was just brilliant. I mean, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So much talent, so much like energy. It was to all of his shows, even though I was never alive. I wasn't alive to see him play, which I wish again. That's why I wish time machines existed, because I would have wanted to go. I would have gone back to see Cliff on shows. But just to me, Cliff, like, he just loved everything he did. I mean, everybody that's ever met him, so they loved him. That he was a great guy. I mean, he was tall as hell, and you know, he turned his bass into like kind of like a machine, like an alternate machine out of this world, and he did whatever he wanted with it. But it was always beautiful. Everything that came out of his bass was just absolutely beautiful. He just knew what to do. I mean, it's no one honestly could ever change my mind for Cliff over anybody else. I mean, that's why I said Lemmy's a close second, Webster's a third, and I would not change those three any other way. I guess, as other people would say, yell at a wall or whatever that saying is, but Cliff, to the day I die, Cliff will always be the Jimi Hendrix of bass guitar. Case in point, and even funny enough, when I told my friend about how I thought he was Jimi Hendrix of bass guitar, later to find out, like a couple of years ago, Jason Newsted said in an interview that he says that Cliff was the Jimi Hendrix of bass. And I was like, that's hilarious. I literally said those exact words. But just goes to show that great minds think alike. I mean, I'm not a professional bass player or anything like that, but I've always loved bass. Well, actually, that's not true, not really true. I fell in love with bass, and like since with Cliff, and then I appreciated more bass players, which made me love. I went back Lemmy, and then I went to Chemical Corpse years later, like in 2021. Loved him, Steve Harris. Can't forget him, of course. Steve Harris, phenomenal bassist. Saw them live in 2022. But that's where it kind of like comes different, like from an S tier rank to an A tier rank. Cliff here, Lemmy here, Jason A, and everybody else except Dave Elfson. Elfson, he's gross. He's a gross person, which stained his reputation. It makes me sad because whenever I hear Metallica, Jesus, whenever I hear Megadeth bass parts, it makes me sad because, like, man, I used to love this, but now since I know that Dave Elfson is that weirdo, I can't I mean, my buddy told me that Mustaine wrote the riffs for the bass, but anyways, just Cliff Burton, the greatest bassist of all time. Yeah, so that's pretty much going to be after my rambling for about 4.5 of those minutes. I love Cliff Burton. Cliff 'em all. That's that. See ya.